everyone. This is just a quick supplement video to lesson 2.2 because I realized that in my video I left out this example 2. So I want to make sure we get that in there because you will see a question like that on your homework. So in the lesson, I don't remember if we talked about this, but we talked about the R value being correlation coefficient. And when you calculate these things on your calculator, it will give you a value for both R and R squared. Now, we aren't going to be using R squared at all in what we're doing this year. That is something you will learn more about when you take AP Stats and what the purpose of squaring that R value is. But let's suppose I give you a set of data and I tell you the R squared value, but I don't tell you the R value. Can we get the R value back from that information? That's just pretty simple algebra, right? That if I have R squared and I want R, all I'm going to do is take a square root to get rid of that square. But what we have to remember about taking square roots is that there's a positive and a negative answer. So I'm going to do the square root of 0.77, and I get this 0.8775. I'm going to round this too. But remember, that could be positive or negative 0.8775, and that would be my R value. So I can tell you this is a fairly strong correlation. I just don't know from this information by itself whether it's positive or negative. Okay? So that brings us to this next question. What other information would I need to determine which one it is? Is it supposed to be positive or negative? Well, remember, the positive or negative on the correlation really has to do with the direction of the data. Okay? So I would need to know, and there's a couple different ways we could say this. We could say direction of data points. And remember, that's also indicated by the slope, right? So if I had a line of regression, so if I didn't have a picture, but if I had an equation for a line of regression where I could get the slope being positive or negative would indicate whether the R value is positive or negative. Okay, so if slope is positive or negative, that R value is going to match whatever it happens to be. So if I told you that this was your R value and I gave you this graph, we would know that that was a negative 0.8775 because of the way this is pointing. If I told you this was your R value and this was your graph, then you would know it was a positive 0.8775. And if I didn't give you a picture at all, if I just gave you an equation, you could look at the slope in that equation and go by whether it's positive or negative. So not real complicated math here, but this piece of it is important for you to understand, that you can still figure out whether it's supposed to be positive or negative. And also important to know that it could be either one when you take that square root, but that you have to look at this to decide which one it should actually be. Okay, that was really it for this video. Quick and painless.